We're doing The Custody of Angus McDonald by Blueshine, Chapter 3, Learn to Cope. The summary of this chapter is Magnus makes a few calls, Taco has trouble convincing his family he's serious, Angus holds an interrogation.
What did
Angus.
Lucretia sound like? Because I don't remember. Her voice is
Lucretia
like,
He's like,
functionally is your Kanaya. Like, I would just,
okay, yeah, that's right. I'll do Lucretia then.
yeah.
I
Like,
think
you,
that's the only, yeah.
we've got
She was
Mag.
just,
Sorry.
right. Oh, it's okay.
We've got
lying
Magnus.
down.
Um, you need dog emote? Yes, we need dog emote. Um,
Diamond!
I
You said
realized
that
that
your
sounded like I said
Kate,
doggy mode, but I meant dog
it
emote.
did sound like that.
I
Kate
meant
emote
doggy mode.
specifically.
Okay, so we've got Magnus, Angus, Taco, Lucretia,
Oh, a lot of people in this one.
Barry?
Mango!
Barry, Loop.
Yeah.
Harold!
Yes.
I was gonna write an Adventure Zone fan fiction one time. I did actually write one, but I didn't really like the long chapter one that I planned
What's
to.
Loop sound like?
The best girl.
Tate, can you hush, please?
No!
Loop's sort of like
It's a baby!
Loop's sort of like this, where she's sort of higher up and has sort of a little bit more, a little bit sort of like how I was doing Stelsa, but like emphasized and a little pointed. That sort of.
Pointed. I think I could do a loop.
Yeah, you,
Grimaldus.
I
You
would.
owe me $15, Greg Gamaldis.
You owe me $15, Greg Grimaldis, and I
You
aim
owe
to
me-
collect.
You owe me $15, Greg Grimaldis, and I aim to collect.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Okay.
Yeah, Jade. Yeah,
Excellent.
Sylpha Breath is right. Maybe
Excellent.
honestly, Southern Loop would be pretty good too. You could just do your Jade voice.
I'll do my Jade voice then. All right, cool. I'll do Lucretia and Loop then because I don't think they overlap. Who wants to narrate?
I'll narrate this time. I haven't been doing very large speaking parts.
Okay.
So
And I
I
have
do.
Taco and Angus, I guess.
And Danny.
So I'm Magnus and whoever else.
Barry.
Yeah.
Barry. I can do this.
Cool.
Rad. Okay, here's chapter 4. Or chapter 3. Magnus's rental house was on the outskirts of Goldcliff proper, and to both Magnus and Angus's relief, didn't follow the gaudy aesthetic that most of Goldcliff conformed to. Small, inexpensive, warm. A little bit in the seedy part of town. Barely a 4-room house. Den, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom. Simple as hell. It was very Magnus, but none of his things were lying around. There was a bag full of adventuring gear and magic items, which gave Angus the impression that Magnus rented this house specifically to take care of him during the trial. Magnus dropped a box from the bakery onto a table in front of the fireplace. The hearth had a cozy eating area around it, meant for no more than 3 people.
Want to cut into this now?
Magnus asked. No, sir. If it's all right, I was actually going to study some magic for a bit, Angus said as he took some books out of his briefcase. I'll, talk to you later?
Cool.
Oh, fuck okay. Magnus smiled, watching Angus leave the room. As soon as he was out of earshot, Magnus called someone on his Stone of Far speech, whispering into it frantically.
Lucretia, what does it mean when a kid doesn't want to eat cake?
A rustling sound from the other end, and then Lucretia's voice came through.
Are you talking about Angus? You were accepted as his temporary guardian?
Yeah, that wasn't a problem.
Magnus rolled the stone between his fingers. He had heard about Angus's trial from Lucretia. She couldn't live in Goldcliff for months while the trial went on, so naturally Magnus offered to watch Angus in her stead.
But I think he's got something on his mind.
Of course he does, Angus. He's stuck in the middle of a custody battle between his aunts.
And Taco.
And Taco?
Lucretia fell silent, having trouble finding the right words. Why would Taco apply for custody?
I'm having a hard time imagining that.
Right? You should have seen him, Lucretia. He was in a suit.
Magnus heard Lucretia giggle on the other end.
I mean, he'd be fine, but I just can't see it. Especially not after, well...
I know.
There was a hint of guilt in her voice, and then silence.
I'll, keep you posted.
Please do.
Lucretia paused.
And Magnus, this is not a bear hug situation. Give Angus a little bit of space tonight, okay?
I can do that. Talk to you.
Magnus said, hanging up. Was this really okay? Once he had seen Taco apply for custody, Magnus almost considered doing the same, but honestly, he didn't know how to take care of a kid. Taco wasn't taking this seriously. This had to be some kind of distraction. He didn't seem right. Angus counted the letters in Taco's journal. Each sentence, each page had an even number of letters. Okay, that narrows it down. This must be a cipher that uses filler letters or letters for spaces to throw off somebody trying to crack it. Something like this is difficult to crack without a key. Angus took some time trying to brute force a sentence that he thought he recognized a coded "and" in. Angus's mind wandered back to the courthouse. He had seen custody cases before. Angus was great to bring on to some of the nastier cases even though it wasn't his specialty. The children being fought over were often more willing to talk to another kid. Cases like this rarely ended well. When there wasn't a good option, some kids just decided to just run. And convincing a runaway to come back to the court because of course the court will come out with the best decision, that's a lie. Angus saw a lot of bad verdicts. Angus knew he wasn't in a good position, being caught in the middle of his aunts. Violet or Lauren. 2 options. Oh, wait, 3 options. Was Taco really an option? Or is this a stunt? A gag? Something to tease him with? He wondered if Taco would even come to the next meeting. He wouldn't. This was all a trick, wasn't it? He wasn't coming to the hearing. That's ridiculous. But what if he did? If he did show up, there's hardly a chance he would win. It's very difficult to claim custody of a child you're not related to. It's even more difficult when the child you're claiming has living relatives. Taco wasn't married either, and the courts usually had a bias against single parents owning full custody. The courts were also a little reluctant to pair up children and parents of completely different races. But what if he won? Would Angus have to call him Dad? No way. He couldn't imagine that. Angus needed to get to the bottom of this, of Taco's intentions. Tomorrow, he'd ask Magnus to let him visit Taco. Taco and Barry, first and foremost, were waiting for Loop's body to be ready. Until then, no discussions about where to live, their contract with the Raven Queen. This was a time to just cool it. Loop hovered next to one of them at all times, but it didn't take any space to house her. Taco insisted on staying in Gold Cliff for the trial, so he and Barry were living, Loop too, if you could call it living, in a short-term rental apartment. Taco picked out the place. Barry said he didn't care, so obviously they were in a fancy high-rise. It had been 1 day since Taco came back from the court, and he still hadn't talked about it to Loop and Barry. Loop faced her head through the wall to the kitchen, watching Taco without him knowing.
What's he doing in there?
Barry asked. Loop took her head out of the wall.
Taking his feelings. We should really talk to him. I think we waited long enough.
Loop hated giving him space. After regaining his memories, she had to keep a certain amount of distance away when things went wrong. Of course, she hated this. She wanted to know what was wrong and how she could fix it now. Distant Taco was not normal Taco. Sure, he took his sweet time warming up to people, but once he did, he was good to go. This was just wrong.
You try first.
Barry barely finished the sentence, and Loop was already phasing through the wall again. Taco was going through some shit. Loop knew that. There was a lot on his mind, and she hadn't yet peeled away all the layers of bullshit he'd been building up over 10 years. At the same time, he was and wasn't her brother. He would never leave her hanging where before, but here he is, in the kitchen, trying to bake his feelings away instead of just talking through them. He didn't even notice her float through the wall and didn't acknowledge her existence. Sifting this flour was obviously the most important thing on his to-do list.
Taco?
Loop started, startling Taco. He dropped his sifter. Flour puffed out in all directions, covering Taco's face. Fucking hell, give me a little warning next time.
I did. I flew through a wall.
Loop couldn't help but laugh.
How'd the hearing go?
It's not until next week. It was just a preliminary hearing this time, Taco said, wiping flour off his face and clothes. Also, I'm fucking banning you from dressing me for court. Everyone looked at me like I grew an extra eye. Admittedly, she and Barry dressed him like that because they thought he was joking.
Whose line is this?
That's Loop.
Come on. I thought you would like stealing your boyfriend's clothes. It was more official than anything you own.
It's not on brand. Taco picked the sifter up off the ground, setting it back on the counter. You know he's going to ask why there's fucking gel on the shoulders.
You mean you didn't tell him?
Taco grimaced, looking for some kind of escape out of this. Not yet? Listen, I've only been on this for 2 days. I haven't even seen him since then.
Then how'd you get a hold of the suit?
Her voice was smug. Hey, fuck you! Ouch. That didn't feel like a joke. Great, Loop. Paint him into a corner. That'll really help. It sucked now that Loop had to solve a fucking puzzle to get her brother to talk. Now. There was a minefield of things she couldn't say now. She was back. They were all together. Why was he acting like this? Was this going to be permanent? Whatever it was, Loop had to figure out how to deal.
Taco?
Loop said in the softest voice she could manage.
Why aren't you telling me what's on your mind? Hell, why aren't you telling anyone what's on your mind? I could bring Barry in if you've got a problem with me.
In no reality have I ever, or will I ever, have a problem with you. That felt like a lie, but okay.
And
Bucky,
tell
your
me what's
taco
going
is
on.
amazing.
It really is good.
Thanks. Shania, can you do that line?
Yeah, I can do it again.
Then tell me what's going on.
Loop floated so her hood was eye level with him. Taco reached for Loop's hands, but of course nothing happened. She wasn't solid. When's your body going to be ready?
Soon. Barry's got a countdown going.
She floated closer to him, hoping it wasn't too spooky.
Don't change the subject.
He turned away from her form, back towards his baking. I'm fine, Loop, really. You're back. That's it. Yippee! Taco said this in an unnervingly flat voice, but Loop was interrupted by his stone of far speech before she could say anything. The stone lit up, and Magnus's voice rang through.
Hey, Taco. Angus wants to see you.
Taco's heart stopped. Yeah?
Can I bring him over to wherever you are?
Yeah? Fuck, Taco, is that all you can squeak out?
Great, where are you?
Taco spat out the address. Magnus thanked him and, oh shit, they're on their way. Taco had to finish these macaroons. He had to sift this flour.
Taco, come on, talk to me.
Loop, I'm not... But Loop had left the room during Taco's conversation with Magnus. She was restraining herself more often now, giving him privacy. Barry stood in front of Taco now. Barreled?
Need an extra hand.
I know better than to let you touch anything on my counter. Taco paused, looking between Barry and the dough he was trying to finish. But you can stay. Pull up a chair or something. Looks like you've got something to say. If Taco was willing to talk to Barry and not his sister.
I was gonna ask about that.
Angus.
Yeah. Are you sure you want to get involved with this family?
Barry chose his words carefully. He wouldn't be able to do anything to help if Taco shut him down.
You can have a soft spot for the kid without flat out adopting.
It's not just a soft spot. Look, why is it so hard for you people to believe I'm taking this seriously? Seems like Barry was in. Maybe he could push it just a little bit.
This is the most not Taco thing I've seen you. And that's including everything from before you remembered us. It's not bad, but do you understand why it's freaking everyone out?
Barry laid a hand on Taco's shoulder, trying to remain as calm as possible. Taco doesn't do anything predictable. Taco didn't look at Barry, avoided eye contact as much as he could. Just keep the eyes on the dough. Listen, I'm going to ask Angus if he wants me to drop out. If he does, I will. I want to give him some options. Is that strange?
No, that's fine.
Barry gave him some space.
Why couldn't you tell that to Luke?
Barreled, leave it.
But
Barry. Taco turned to look at Barry. Why did he look so exhausted? Whoops, pushed too far.
Alright.
Barry stayed in the kitchen, but Taco stopped speaking to him. Barry was waiting for him to say something else. After a few minutes, both of them heard a knock from the front of the apartment. Loop greeted Magnus and Angus at the door. Kind of scary watching the door open without a physical person behind it, but everything with Loop was scary these days.
Afternoon, Loop.
Magnus was happy to see her. He had seen her terrifying lich form enough to be numb to it. Angus was at his side, less okay with the scary, disembodied robe floating above him.
Angus? Magnus? What are you doing with Angus?
I'm the one watching him while the trial's going.
He ran a hand through Angus's hair.
Oh, sweet. We got some time to catch up.
As Loop was getting excited, she looked over towards Angus again.
Right. Taco's in the kitchen. Next room over.
Thank you, ma'am. Angus made his way to the kitchen. Loop watched him leave, but right as he was about to go through the door, she noticed something in his hands.
Wait, what's that?
Loop pointed his Taco's old journal, secured firmly in Angus's arms. It's a mystery for me to solve, Angus beamed. Taco gave it to me when we were on the Star Blaster to, take my mind off all of this. I have some hypothesis for how the cipher works, but I wanted to show him my progress. Angus didn't wait for any feedback and rushed through the door. Magnus turned to Loop, asking,
You've seen that journal before?
Yeah.
What's in it?
Stuff.
She crossed her arms, speaking quietly.
I can't believe Taco gave it away. Probably just forgot about it.
Angus ran into the kitchen to find Barry Bluejeans, a near stranger, and his... Oh no, he wasn't going there yet. Barry saw an immediate tension between Angus and Taco. Poor kid, caught in the middle of Taco's crisis. After a slightly too long moment of silence, Angus spoke up. Hello, sirs! What are you making in here? Barrel's not making shit. I'm baking up some macaroons. Natch, you know that's my go-to. All of Taco's words were exactly what you'd expect him to say, but he delivered all of them in a tone that sounded nothing like him. His voice sounded sick, the timing in between his words didn't flow, the whole thing felt off. Barry glanced down at Angus's book.
No. You brought something to read?
No, sir, this is the cipher journal. Angus held the journal up towards Taco. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I thought I could show you what I've worked out so far. No can do, Ango. That would be cheating. He handed the journal back to the boy. Also, make sure you keep that in your bag all the time. It's important to write things down when you think of them. I have been. Working on the cipher had been very helpful to Angus. Took his mind off the custody case. Speaking of which, I was also hoping to talk about the meeting yesterday. Sure, of course, no problem. Barreled? Taco shooed Barry out of the kitchen. Barry didn't object. Being in between these two was nerve-wracking. Once Taco checked to see if anybody was listening in, he walked back over to Angus. What's on your mind? He had a good idea of what it was, but might as well hear it from the source. Not to be disrespectful, sir, but why would you do this? Yeesh, I thought this was coming. Taco leaned up against the counter. It took a minute for him to find an answer. Honestly, Angus, I'm not going to barge in on your family if you don't want me to, but I heard what you said about them and automatically didn't like them, and the whole situation kind of reminded me of... Taco stopped. Sir? You little shit! Taco said, although he was grinning and holding back laughter. Did you cast Zone of Truth on me? Angus smiled at him sheepishly. Sorry, I really needed an honest answer. If it makes you feel any better, I failed to resist it too. Fine, then let me ask you something. Taco was actually laughing at this point. He calmed himself down, because this was kind of a serious question. Do you want to live with your aunts? Not at all. I can't stand them. Angus hadn't said that out loud yet. He said it with too much malice for a boy his age. Are you serious about your claim? Yeah, of course. Can't leave a magic boy like you with people like that. Hearing Angus speak so coldly of his aunts, Taco needed to know more, as much as possible. Angus, can you tell me a little more about your aunts? You don't have to, but I'd like to know what I'm up against. The boy didn't say anything. Taco turned away from him, trying to save face. Again, I get it. Don't say it if you don't want to, but even if you don't tell me, it might be a good idea to tell the lawyers or something. I still don't know how the judicial system here works. Fuck, I mean, I'll figure it out. That's not a problem for Taco. Janaya, do you want to get the narration since I'm doing both of the characters on screen right
would
now?
be happy to do the narration.
Okay.
Angus was still quiet, eerily so. Taco turned back to see if he was okay, and Angus was crying hard. Without skipping a beat, Taco brought him in for a hug. He didn't expect to. Taco was still very, very confused about who he could put this kind of trust into. But hugging Angus at this moment just felt natural. He had a hand on his back and on his head, patting him softly and swaying side to side in a gentle rhythm. No eye contact. In fact, Taco was looking anywhere that wasn't Angus. It made Taco's stomach drop doing this, but judging by how Angus held him back, this was necessary. And it felt fine.
Sir?
Taco snapped out of it. The intense wave of calmness he was riding dropped back into a sea of discomfort and uncertainty.
Yeah? Look, I didn't mean to drag all that out.
No, sir, it's all right. I haven't really spoken to anyone about this.
This was ridiculous.
All right, Ango, conjure yourself an apron and I'll teach you to put a little flavor into a macaroon. The last ones were a little lacking.
Little lacking? No, those didn't taste like anything. But baking wasn't the ultimate goal here.
And hey, if you feel like talking about your aunts or anything about the trial, go for it.
Not that I don't want to bake with you, but why right now?
Without much warning, Taco plopped a big mass of dough into Angus's hands.
I find working through a recipe helps smooth these things over. Nice to have something to do with your hands while you work through a problem.
Angus did, wringing dough and whisking filling while laying out all the problems he had with his aunts. It was strange to hear Angus shit-talking so openly. Taco listened, only cutting in to give macaroon instructions. Hearing about his aunts confirmed Taco's fears. These women were bad news. They reminded him too much of the relatives he and Loop had to live with when they were very young. 2 years down the line, the aunts would probably kick Angus out of the house to fend for himself, or take everything away from him, or something equally damaging. The macaroons were all right. Angus didn't take to baking as quickly as he did wizardry. It just wasn't his thing. But Angus did feel better after finishing them. He hadn't even realized how stressed he was until after he finished. He didn't feel good after venting. He felt neutral, brought back to a safe state of mind.
Okay.
Not
think
Okay.
I think I can start back in because you're gonna start with Luke's dialogue again.
Yeah, because I'll do Luke.
I just didn't want to dominate the stream.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I guess this is actually her thoughts.
Yeah, true.
It's not eavesdropping if I don't listen in.
Loop had faced her head through the wall discreetly, watching to see what was going on with her brother. She didn't need to hear anything, just seeing how Taco acted around this kid was enough. And without any prodding, as soon as the kid needed it, he didn't know where to look. He was nervous. It was super awkward. Despite this, Taco kept holding on. He may have gone cold towards people in the past 10 years, but he was so warm and comforting with this boy. Taco didn't handle it perfectly, but he was trying, and it had been so long since she saw him trying.
And then he was baking with the kid.
She didn't hear what they were talking about, but they were talking, and it looked like Taco was helping. She took her head out of the wall, turning to Barry.
Babe, we need to talk.
Danny, that's you.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
I got knocked out, so I'm trying to get back.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. It's one of these links. Nope. Nope.
You're still, I can still hear you.
I know. I'm fixing.
Okay.
Wrong button. Ah. Little Witch Academia, where'd it go? Tell me my line.
Is it in the chat? Did we drop this one in the chat?
We did. Your line is why? What's wrong?
Why? What's wrong?
Nothing.
Loop didn't have a face, but her voice was smiling.
I just want us to have a game plan for extracting our nephew out of legal limbo.
Damn.
Yay.
That was good.
I'm really enjoying that. Also, your taco voice is fucking great.
I love taco. I don't do the
Fantastic
OG
taco.
justice, but thank you.